Hi, I'm Liz Larson with Transform One Idea, where we're always talking about how the smallest shift can make the biggest change. And I'm here today with Jessica from Just Be Bodyworks. And Jessica actually blew my mind recently in a networking group that we're in together that shifted for me an idea in a way that I'd never considered of something that's really, really important. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Liz.
And Jessica does infant massage classes here locally. She does kids mindfulness classes, which is incredible. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that too. Couples massage, adult guided meditation, as well as massage therapy. Very cool stuff. Really, is that something that's common among massage therapists to expand out to do all these other things?
I wouldn't say that it's common. I know of a couple massage therapists who kind of offer periodically here and there. They'll do some sort of class. Some are often yoga teachers as well, but not necessarily doing as many classes as I'm doing and as often as I do them.
It's interesting. It's an expansive idea. Once you start doing one form of body work, and you kind of naturally understand more about what's going on in the world and about what's going on in the mind. And it's an interesting way in, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's pretty common to think of massage as just simply a physical therapy, but it really is kind of more, expansive than that. There's a ton of power in touch and through different phases of life, and intentional touch versus passive touch. So it really does expand and touch a lot of different facets all over the place.
Yeah, so we're going to get into a little bit of that. Let me share with everybody what happened. So Jessica was presenting at our local networking group, and she was talking about this offering that she has of infant massage classes. And she was talking about how she was looking for some introductions into somebody with children's services or even adoption agencies, because she wanted to offer the infant touch massage for parents to connect with these babies that come into their house. And for me, it was like a mind blown moment, because I happen to know that babies who aren't necessarily held or touched do sometimes have a disconnect in the way their mind body works. And I know that from my own work, we have a good friend whose baby wasn't held for 3 days due to an adoption process, who ended up with a little bit of a neurological problem early on. Luckily, that was able to be fixed, but it occurred to me that had they had this modality of infant massage, that all of that might have been a non-issue. So I really wanted to talk to you about this and have you to tell me and everyone else, first of all, how did you get started in infant massage, and what gave you, this idea?
Yeah, so I had been a massage therapist since 2012, and I was trained in infant massage in 2016. And the reason, honestly, that I originally sought out the infant massage instructor training was because my husband and I at the time were starting to try to get pregnant. And I thought, what a great, natural progression in my business to segue into working with infants. That's kind of part of my whole journey. We've been trying to get pregnant for quite a while. And so now the infant massage has kind of turned into this outlet for me to still kind of get that baby energy in my life and get my baby fix, as it were. And so I trained with Joanne Lewis at the Family Massage and Education Center in Ashland, which is just a little bit away from us. And she is accredited by the International Association of Infant Massage. The founder, Vimala McClure, she has been teaching and just developing this really amazing framework to kind of give accountability and structure and really start to promote the benefits of infant massage in the widespread community. So they have chapters all over the world. I'm accredited through the US chapter. And it's really just an amazing organization that's really, really working to, get studies out there and really just put that emphasis and structure and texture behind this kind of abstract idea that maybe babies might benefit from massage. And so they're really doing the groundwork to bring that to the forefront of the massage community and the bodywork community.
So I think that's a perfect segue. Would you share with us really how does a baby benefit? Like, how does this work?
Yeah. So there's a ton of physiological benefits that are maybe they're obvious to me because I do it, but massage is known to reduce pain, obviously. So when you have a baby who is dealing with teething pain, whether you're working directly on the mouth or jaw or head area, just the massage in general helps to inhibit pain. It's really, really, really helpful in regulating sleep patterns, which is a big thing for new parents, as well as gas and colic issues. That's one of the biggest benefits, and the most often that I have parents seeking the massage classes for is for tummy issues. And there's so many different techniques and things that we go over in classes to do with the tummy. It really supports every system. The same way that massage supports every body system in adults, it supports it in every body system in babies, if not a little more so because they're so rapidly developing. And I'm trying to think of some of the other physical benefits. They're just widespread. Anything that massage helps in adults, it helps with babies, if not more so. But then beyond that, one of the biggest benefits as far as kind of the psychological, neurological world is the touch itself. So touch is one of the first senses that develops in the womb. So as they're encapsulated, they're touching the sides of the womb. And so they start to develop that sense first off. And so when they come out, if they're deprived of that touch, it can really wreak havoc on the nervous system. And so having that touch be a little bit more intentional than just what you would get organically with, obvious caretaking of a baby, diaper changings, feedings, and really setting aside that intentional time to kind of have a little bit more nurturing intention with that touch can really, really make a huge difference in the amount of bonding that happens, which is kind of where it segues into helping with that adoptive and foster situations.
Doesn't touch also help with the brain development of especially a newborn?
Absolutely. So anytime that you're getting some sort of sensory input, it's helping to create neurological connections in the brain. And again, even more so in infants because they're developing so rapidly. And so anytime that there is a touch on the body, they're getting a signal coming in. And whether that touch is gentle, whether that touch is kind of rough, or whether there's an absence of it, really, really has an impact on how their brains are starting to structure themselves, and that neuroplasticity is starting to form.
So let's talk a little bit about something that's not so fun to talk about, and about how some of these babies we were talking about, the foster care system and eventually maybe the adoption system, they come into the world with a pretty rough start. And lots of times, after birth, if, a mom is found out to have drugs in her system, maybe the baby will go to the ICU, or that is taken from that family and given to another family. There might be a period of time in between where, they're a little bit in limbo. So these are babies that are at risk to start with. And then they may miss out on this really essential neurological brain development. Mm-hmm. So when you were talking about the possibility of parents who are willing to take on a foster child or maybe have adopted a child, they're getting a child who's already at risk, who may have, drugs in their system or, neurological problems already. And then a baby that also may not have an attachment. There's that attachment disorder that comes along.
Yeah.
So would you share with us, like in a real functional way, how that parent can bridge the gap from what's needed but what wasn't given before they actually have the child in their home?
Absolutely. So yeah, in those situations where there's kind of a limbo, unfortunately, the foster care system is incredibly overburdened, and a lot of these caseworkers don't necessarily have the ability to take that time with each child. And so once a child comes into the home, there's kind of this deficit there that we want to step into and make up for. And whether that's, a touch deficit, whether that's, just a focused eye contact deficit. And so we really want to, as soon as they're in our hands and we now have the ability to have an impact, do as much as we can. And so again, that's where that intentional touch comes from, rather than the passive touch of just caretaking. And so I guess in the more practical way, so we all know about oxytocin, or most of us know about oxytocin, right? And so oxytocin is the love hormone, or the cuddle hormone. Oxytocin is released from skin to skin contact. And so as soon as we are able to getting that skin to skin contact, whether it's, a brand new newborn and it's just skin to skin on the chest, but also again, that intentional touch of massage is also getting that skin to skin contact and releasing that oxytocin. And oxytocin not only helps as just kind of a mood booster and a feel-good hormone, but it also is one of the main mechanisms in bonding and attachment. And so with infants, we need kind of that secure attachment. So human newborns are completely helpless. They depend on us for everything. They need to be held, they need to be fed, they need to, they need to have that secure attachment so that they feel that their needs are being met. And in order to wire that in the brain, they need that constant touch and reassurance of presence. And so again, massage is an intentional way to do that comes passively, but really taking that time when you're already dealing with a deficit to set aside that time is really, really beneficial to kind of give them a little bit of a leg up from a situation that might not be ideal.
Well, I love that you're saying this. I love that you're saying the intentional part. And I know from the work that I do, the communication is so important. And you bring a newborn in and you don't, or even maybe it's a little bit older, and you don't think about communicating with them because they don't talk yet.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you have to be in communication with them. And that's hard because you're a stranger to them, and so are they to you. So it strikes me that maybe intentional massage, even if it's just hands or feet,
mm-hmm.
creates a form of communication.
Absolutely.
If I, rub your feet or maybe your toes and you smile and I smile back, now we're in communication.
Absolutely.
If I'm able to stroke the back of your hand, and you relax, and now I relax, now we're in communication. So I could see where that would really provide that between the two people physically, but also energetically and mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely.
So are there little things like that, hands and feet that people can do if they're just trying to start out or try?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the technique that I teach, it's not some big, huge secret, right? There are obviously some really specific techniques that we do, like for tummy things, for legs and feet. We do a lot of different ones for the neurological connections for crawling. So I guess physiologically or mechanically speaking, yes, there is a ton of specific massage modalities and techniques that I can teach. But the idea of just setting aside time for intentional touch, as simple, yes, as stroking a hand, is absolutely still beneficial. And I love that you brought up communication, because that's such a huge one with massage. And so even though infants don't have verbal communication yet, this is an amazing opportunity to start to develop your nonverbal communication with an infant. And it's something that we really do talk a ton about in class. When we give massage, we still ask for consent. We still ask permission. Now, obviously, a baby's not going to say yes or no, but we can offer it in such a way, and we learn the different cues versus reflexes that is them either giving or revoking consent for massage. And that's huge in the development, and especially it's kind of a big topic nowadays, is what is consent, and how do we teach kids what consent means? And so that's kind of one of the building blocks for that.
I can really see where that would be important. We don't think about that kind of thing. With our own children, you do hug them, you do touch them, you do kiss them, you do, you bond with them physically. And yet, of course, there can be a line. And I like that you keep saying the word intentional, with intentional techniques, massage, to help with tummies, to help with feet, we can teach in a way that children can understand how touch is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I love that you're saying even with a newborn, we're asking. This is a funny way to say it, but energetically, even verbally and non-verbally, we can ask for that permission and see how the body reacts. And I love that you're talking about that, because it gives the parent the awareness that just because you're my child, I don't get to just do whatever I want. And I think that's a nice mindset to learn early on, to ask and to receive information about what we do like or what we do want. So I think that's really, really incredible. So we've talked about some of the ways that this is great for the baby. So let's talk about how it's good for the parents.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with the parents, it's funny, there's this idea that massage is about spoiling babies. It's just one more thing that modern babies get that, back in the day we didn't get. But it really is such a tool. And it's not only a tool in, as we talked about, the physiological benefits for taking care of your child, tummy issues, teething issues, and also a tool in the relationship building, the bonding, the communication with your child. But it's also a tool that kind of empowers parents in another way, that they are capable. They're capable of stepping in and intervening in such a way that they can really have an impact. That not every cry and not every, fussiness is a problem, and that they can step in and offer, and again, intentional, I guess that's my buzzword for the day, intentional, structured ways to soothe their baby, aside from how often I've talked to parents who they're like, I bounce them and I try to change them and I feed them and nothing works. And a lot of times just sitting down and taking that time together and just being present is all that they need. And so it really kind of I like to think of it as, you have all of these resources, and as a new parent, sometimes it's overwhelming. You have all of these resources to kind of add to your parenting tool belt or your toolbox. And this is one that really is in your hands. This is like the foundational, pieces of the puzzle of caring for an infant is, how do you soothe these physiological things? How do you start to really truly build a communication and a relationship and secure attachment? And then on the I guess more lighthearted side is, if you are able to help your baby sleep, then you are able to sleep. If you are able to soothe your baby's teething comfort, then they're not crying and fussy and you're able to relax. And so the benefit that comes from your ability to intervene and help your baby is huge, as well as oxytocin goes two ways. So if baby is getting oxytocin and feeling good from that, you are also getting oxytocin and feeling good from that. And so there's some studies that are being done that actually show that this can help with reduced instances of depression. What's the word I'm looking for?
Anxiety?
Postpartum depression.
Postpartum depression. Yeah, that's a huge one.
It really is a huge one, yeah.
Actually, I think that's an amazing segue. Mm-hmm. And as you were talking, it made me think, babies don't come with a manual, for how to do it. And parents almost never get really instruction. I mean, I think it's an unusual parent who really reads, and that can be very stress inducing as well. All the things you should do.
Or Googling.
And I think that one of the things we're never told is that we're told, oh, babies are so wonderful and it's great, but we're never told that the first weeks and months of parenthood can be incredibly stressful, mm-hmm. incredibly isolating, mm-hmm. painful in a lot of ways. Holding a baby, doing this action, the strain across the low back and in the neck, the lack of sleep, our bodies as parents can really take a toll. Yeah. And so I think the conversation about what your baby needs to relax and how important it is, and during that time you're also relaxing, mm-hmm. and during that time you're learning communication as well as they're learning, that it's this very reciprocal, and also the importance of have that oxytocin time be your oxytocin time too. Really understanding and relaxing into those moments and appreciating them. But it also kind of leads me to something else you do, and that's massage, adult massage. Mm-hmm. What if new parents took that time and did a couples massage where they have an hour away and they're literally relaxing their bodies and having the knots worked out that come from sleeping funny, listening for your baby all night long, holding a baby, nursing a baby. Mm-hmm. So talk about that a little bit, about how parents can benefit physically from having their own massage.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, new parents are stressed. I see them in the infant massage classes. I do have massage clients that come in who are new parents. Like I said, I don't have kids myself, but I have been in the baby bubble that, week after birth several times with my nieces and nephews, and it's a chore. And I don't feel that new parents, especially young parents, are very well prepared for the toll that it takes on your, not only physically, but emotionally, mentally, energetically. It's kind of a marathon in those first few weeks, and it's a sleepy, yummy, scrumptious marathon, but it's a lot on your body, and you're kind of thrown into it. And so taking some time for self-care, whether that be an actual massage session, or just taking little moments. One of the things that we talk about in the actual infant massage classes is mommy mindfulness. And we talk about ways that parents can, in the midst of whatever is in front of them, whether it's a full-blown crying fit that won't end, or you haven't slept in 2 days, and how you can center within yourself and still find a space of calm regardless of what's happening around you, is so important, and it fills your cup. And it's so hard with new parents because you kind of do. You just keep pouring and pouring and pouring because this little human is depending on you for everything. But at some point, taking a few moments away, whether it be to take a bubble bath yourself or whether it be to actually book a massage, is so huge in just for your own sake, helping yourself and taking care of yourself, but also benefits your baby because you were able to show up and not only have more energy to go about the tasks of parenting, but also energetically to be able to really be present and show up in the way that you want to. So taking some time is it's oftentimes put at the very bottom of new parents' priority list, but I really truly feel it should be much more towards the top.
I completely agree with you. I think it's the first thing that new moms and new dads need to be told is that you must, under any circumstance, take some time for yourself, for self-recovery, for really getting your own health and strength back. I mean, it's a big thing when a baby comes in. A lot of times it's an all-nighter, or maybe 2 days or 3 days of labor and all of the excitement that happens. And once the baby comes, no one tells you don't actually get to rest. And so if we could do one thing in this interview today is get that message out there to new parents to really take time for yourself, and actually parents of older children. So with toddlers, that can have its own set, of stresses, and taking that time to actually get your body right, get that relaxation going that's meaningful. Mm-hmm. So another thing that you do is the adult guided meditation. Mm-hmm. So it's just occurring to me that maybe that is something that parents, maybe even together, could do to take that time to reset and get that calm back. So talk about that a little bit. How would that work?
Absolutely. Yeah. So meditation is really huge in stress management. And I oftentimes find that people have kind of this misconception of what meditation is and isn't. And truly all meditation is taking a pause from kind of your normal hustle bustle daily life to check into yourself, to tune into your senses, to observe your thoughts without judgment and without attachment. It's not about shutting the thoughts down and having nothing in your mind. It's simply stepping back a little bit and just observing what's happening from a little bit of a different perspective so that you're able to come at it from a calmer space. So rather than being in the emotion and being attached to it and reacting however it is that you react by whatever triggers you're triggered by, that you just kind of lean back from it a little bit, lean back from whatever experience you're in. The way that I often explain meditation is that if you imagine your thoughts, right, as a stream, so you have this little tiny stream running in front of you, and that is kind of the thought process, the thought train. And if each thought that comes up is a leaf floating on the surface of that water, that we know by the nature of streams and floating objects is that thought is going to come into your vision it's going to go, and then it's going to go out and away from your peripheral. And we have two options when that happens. We can say, okay, I see this leaf passing in front of me. I can see, why this leaf is here. Maybe I can see the leaf in even more clarity than I did before. Or you can see the leaf, you can jump in the stream, you can try to grab onto the leaf, and you can get messy and muddy and wet. And so that's kind of the way that I kind of simplify the idea of meditation. It does not have to be sitting in lotus position with hand mudras for an hour, chanting, ohms or mantras. But it really can just be as simple as leaning back and just simply observing without judgment or attachment what you're feeling or what you're thinking. And that can do wonders, especially for new parents, to be able to just recenter, regroup, and kind of take a few deep breaths.
Well, I think that it's such a much bigger topic, even though we have time for it today, of parents and what's really available if we stop and be just a little bit intentional, like you said, a little bit mindful about the things that we can do. And I think that this idea of the infant massage goes so much farther than just relaxing your baby. I love that it gives natural ways for parents to help with colic, help with tummy stuff. I had no idea that was even possible. I wish I had it when my son was a baby, and no idea. And I think you're right. I think there's a misconception about it's this spoiled baby parent thing. And I think maybe we did know this in ancient times, and we've forgotten that there are ways to help our babies with comfort and with gas. And I think that it really helps with them learning how to soothe themselves as well.
Absolutely.
That, and also the idea that brains develop and neurology develops and personalities develop with touch as much as other things in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I think if we support that idea and take it and utilize it in the parenting process early on, it helps everyone. And you've talked about the way that eventually that helps the community. So absolutely. Share with me a little bit about that. How do we make the jump between I'm massaging my baby in home to make connections and make them feel better, and it makes the community better?
Absolutely. So it goes by just the natural progression of things that if we are raising babies to be happier, healthier, calmer, that as they grow into adults, those characteristics are going to follow them. So one of the big things that I really, really emphasize, not only with the infant classes, but with my kids' workshops as well, is this idea of the word relax. So often children and infants, when they start to correlate the language of relax, what relax means in their mind, based on their experience of the world and with adults, is relax means a desired behavior. It means be quiet, be still, be calm, right? And so this idea that relax is actually an internal sensation that they can experience is where that connection is made. So when children realize that relax isn't a behavior and relax is a sensation, then they realize that they like that sensation. Once they learn to find it, then they will seek it out. And so as they grow, they're healthier, they're happier, they're calmer, they have more self-regulation skills, they have more resiliency, and those follow them into adulthood. So really this idea of changing the world one infant massage at a time isn't unrealistic. The more children that are getting these early on introductory skills, those seeds are planted so young that it will follow. So with the infant classes especially, we talk a lot about a word that I cannot bring to my brain right now. Conditioned response, right? So the more often that you massage your baby and the more often that you take that intentional time, the quicker those neural pathways find a place of relaxation. So if the first time you massage your baby and you put your hands on their tummy, they might squirm a little bit because they don't know what's going on. They're not sure, why is mom poking and pushing on my tummy? But the second time, they might kind of remember. The third, the fifth, the 12th time that you massage your baby's tummy, they know what to expect. And they realize that what's coming is good. And so those neural pathways are kind of the path of least resistance. They're quicker to get to that space of relaxation and that space of calm. And again, that follows them into adulthood.
So we're teaching the mind and the body
Yes.
how to be with itself, how to relax, and I love what you said is, words are an important thing, that relax can be a negative thing and that it means something different to each person, that the body can learn what relaxation actually feels like.
Absolutely.
And I think that's super important for parenting in general and for in schools. We're asking kids to do what you said, be calm, be quiet, and what was the other word? Be calm, be quiet, and yeah, and still. That's what we're asking of kids who aren't normally that, right? They're busy, they're squirmy, and so what if babies' bodies grew to children's bodies who did know how to do that? Who knew that it meant that we kind of go inside and we feel great and we're allowed to take in information and all that. I see where that could help the community a lot.
Yes.
That could be massive.
Yes.
And then you said something to me before too, that it actually helps humanity. And I can see where that expands out. So anybody who's listening to this or watching this, if you have a baby in your family, I mean, you don't have to be the mom to do the massage. Can you be maybe the grandma or maybe the aunt or the dad or somebody who cares for that baby? Or do they come as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The classes that I offer are open to the whole family, siblings as well. They're really they're a family class. We deal with babies, so we expect feedings and diaper changes and fussiness, and so the whole family is welcome. I kind of think of it as like a family admission kind of thing, and I've had that. I've had parents bring siblings. I've had both mom and dad come. I've had grandma come. Anytime that you are working with infant massage, you are obviously building that secure attachment and you're building that bond, which can really go really deep. And so we like to keep it in the family. I wouldn't necessarily say, having the babysitter doing it. It's not going to be harmful, but you are kind of building that really strong attachment. And so keeping it with, yes, like direct caregivers, parents, grandparents, siblings is ideal.
That's amazing. So I want to save it for another conversation, but you also do kids mindfulness, which is another, when I hear you talk about kids mindfulness, it isn't, like you said, sitting in mudra quietly. It really is teaching them how to manage their own physiology, their own neurology, and their own mind and consciousness. So would you be willing to come back for another conversation about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, the kids mindfulness are my favorite, so I can talk about those all day.
Well, thank you so much for this. I mean, I've learned a huge amount. It has transformed one idea for me about what it means to have intentional touch with babies and children and what it really could mean for our planet. So thank you so much for that, for changing that in my mind. And I know that everybody else out there who's listening probably has a new perspective. Tell us how we can get in touch with you and how people can actually come to your classes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am online, justbebodyworks.com, and there's a ton of information. I even have like a whole different section in my blog about infant massage. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at justbebody, and I am downtown Grants Pass. I'm open by appointment only, so give me a call. Or contact me on Facebook or the website, and I'm happy to get you enrolled in an upcoming class. I also do offer the infant classes for private session as well, if you are able to make it to a regular group session. And I do contract out for organizations and different groups as well, so I can come to you.
Great. And this may sound like a strange question because I know you do hands-on teaching, but can somebody work with you online to learn some of these techniques? Do you offer any of that?
Absolutely. It's a little bit of a different process because, like you said, it is a hands-on type of thing, but it's absolutely something that can be kind of guided and facilitated online as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. So people can contact through your website. We'll make sure it's listed through here, through Facebook, Instagram, and also you're available to come and speak at organizations, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. So if you have a baby or know someone who's getting ready to, I highly recommend that you reach out to Jessica at Just Be Bodyworks, because I really do think she's 100% correct. I think that we could change humanity little by little by learning how to interact, how to communicate with our babies and our children. It's something that's lacking. Like we said before, we don't get a manual that comes with our babies, and we don't think about things that we just have no idea. Before Jessica talked about this need for even adoptive and foster parents to have this, it never occurred to me that that was a need, even though when she said it, it makes perfect sense. So you can also, if you know somebody who needs this, you can gift them a session with Jessica. If you know a mom who's really stressed out or suffering with postpartum depression, which we really didn't get to talk about much, but is a real thing, it can be served by, you know, having massage, taking some time out, taking some personal time. Give them a gift certificate for massage or for infant massage class. It's a good idea for a baby shower. It's one of those things we don't think of. We buy cutesy stuff, we buy baby stuff, which I love too. But if you want to really give a family something that has some real impact in their life, consider massage, couples massage, or infant massage class. I bet you these parents will love you forever if you do it. So again, thank you so much, Jessica. I appreciate this conversation so much. And I'm Liz Larson with Transform One Idea. You can reach me at transform, the word one, idea.com and transformoneidea@gmail.com. We'll talk to you guys all again soon. Between now and then, see what one thing in your life you can shift that will create massive change. Talk soon.